concert tickets have come so far in the past 10, 15, even like 20 years. Like it's become so much better. Remember when you used to have to go to the Saddle Dome or Sask Place and you'd wait in line to buy the ticket at the kiosk, and now you can just do it online. And then now, not only that, but you can see how everything's laid out for assigned seating, and you can say, oh, well, I want that seat or I want this seat. And as far as they've come, they're all a bunch of jackwagons, because the one thing that we all want to see on these websites is how tall is the guy standing in front of us. Because it doesn't matter what concert I go to, where, there's always some giant fucking mongoloid bastard that evolution forgot about, and he's always standing directly in front of me. And Ticketmaster, if you're listening, all you got to do is just be like, oh, well, you know what? Let's just put the height of the person into the app. And then you could say, oh, yeah, you're going to sit in seat R26. And the guy in front of you is 7'9". Oh, well, you know what? Maybe I'll get R25.
You want them to put
the height of the person who bought the seat in front of you in the app. Yes.
You know the best thing about your entire rant? As soon as you said it, I'm like, what a great word. Jackwagon. What a bunch of jackwagons. That's what I feel like here on the Mashup. What a bunch of jackwagons. Mashup 125.2s. How goes the battle this week?
The battle goes good, but I went to your hated Grey Eagle Casino last weekend for a concert, The Cult, which I was super excited about. Some of the greatest songs ever written and performed are done by The Cult. And it was a shit show. We stood in line for 45 minutes before we even got in. It was so backed up by the time we even got in that they weren't even checking people's tickets anymore. We got in, we sat down, having missed the opening act entirely.
What?
Yeah, we were in line before the concert started. It was like 10 minutes to 8. The concert started at 8. And we didn't get in until 35 after, and the opening act was already cleared out. So we missed the opening act entirely, but they weren't even checking tickets, just in an effort to get people through the damn line. Because
how did it go that slow?
Well, they were checking everybody, making sure they're not trying to sneak in booze or whatever else.
Sure.
And they just didn't have enough people doing it. And so literally stood in line for 45 minutes to get in, missed the whole opening act. And like I said, they didn't check anybody's tickets. We were there, and it's kind of a weird setup the way they had it. So there was a whole bunch of people who just stood beside the stage because it was the only spot you could see from, because they were all presumably standing behind mongoloid bastards as well. And I was like, Mrs. Twos, I just realized something. Nobody looked at our tickets, and we're not sitting at our seats. So really, we could have just not bought the tickets, walked through the door, and stood where we're at right now and saw it for free.
All right. Leanne Taylor says, good morning, guys. Good morning, Leanne. And
morning.
Murray Henderson says, good morning as well. So morning, Mr. Henderson.
Thanks for joining us again, Murray.
That's right. Okay, what do we got on the go here? We're going to bring up the Mashup collection. I think it's in the, well, here, I'll just send it again. There, boom. It's into YouTube comments, Facebook comments. You can go to Teespring, look us up, and there's some Mashup memorabilia if you're so interested in. It's Happy Airborne Friday. Jamie Sinclair called me this morning, and he's got some ideas surrounding Airborne Friday. So I was like, well, is it pertinent to the show? And he's like,
does it matter?
Not yet. Does it? But exactly. I think we're in talks to build a shirt or something for Airborne Friday. So I think teaming up with the military on that would
be the next few weeks so that we could do some kind of a fundraiser for Remembrance Day.
Oh, I think that's a great idea. Well, I think there's something there with the military to do too, so that I think would be a lot of fun. Obviously, I just had Mike Rood on talking about the Mefloquin saga in the Canadian military. That was something this week that was, very interesting. And so if there's a way to team up with them and I don't know, man, I'd rock an Airborne Friday shirt. I mean, on here all the time. So we got the Coots 2 950 days. I know that sentencing has happened and all these different things. I think it's still important to bring it up. That's Christopher Carbert, Anthony Olenek. And I got a text from one of the ladies around that asking if I'd bring both of them on. I don't know the full details of that yet. And I'm like, yeah. So maybe that's something.
Do you have to go down to Lethbridge and go?
I got zero details on it, just that there's a possibility of it. So I don't know what that means.
Just send him a cake with a laptop hidden in it.
Just put a ladder over the wall and just
it's like Portugal.
UCP AGM update. So Friday, November 1st, the Mashup is getting a hospitality room. It's going to have a bartender with a cash bar or whatever. And we hope that you, the lovely listener here in Alberta, will come on out and enjoy hanging out with us. And we're working on
anybody going to the AGM, more than welcome to attend. No extra price or tickets
just show up
or anything like that. It's just like a concert at the Grey Eagle Casino. We're going to have a bunch of chairs set up. We're going to do something. We'll let you know in a little bit.
Yeah. We're going to build up some details. But we are going to be there.
If you're listening to the Mashup and you're like, wow, the UCP is doing things I don't agree with, and I would like to speak my mind, not only can you go to the AGM and speak your mind, but also come hang out with us and get in on some fun live entertainment.
That's right. Okay. I don't think there's any. Have I skipped anything twos yet?
Okay. No.
Here we go.
We gotta address some concerns from the listeners.
Okay, the Lord's name. This was on Twitter. It said, "Hey, twos." In a recent podcast, Sean made a point that some of your fans are concerned with you using our Lord's name in vain. I love your podcast, but I would reluctantly say Sean is correct. At least could you have a more diverse and inclusive approach to this issue? Can you also curse other religious leaders like Buddha, Muhammad, and Obama?
I love it. This is the perfect response because, I mean, my take on this, which is a little bit harsh, but I think you could agree if you really wanted to look at it from a little ways back is fair, is that, I have no issue with people drawing pictures of Muhammad because that's not my religion. And I don't consider myself a Christian. And so it's not really my Lord's name that I'd be taking in vain. But I do like the fact that I feel it's important to treat people equally. And it brings up a really good point. Like, why are you only picking the one Lord's name? Why not pick all of them? And so I'm going to try and do that going
He's going to try and curse Obama from now on, is what you're trying to say.
We're going to try and hit every major, minor religion, cult, you name it. Okay? Because that's fair. I don't like singling people out. And so, I'm agreeing with you. And I'm going to work on it. Now,
he's working on it.
That being said, I'll probably slip up from time to time. But if you guys can give me a little bit of grace as I attempt to grow as a person, I would appreciate it.
He put that in the headlines. I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? Okay, I get it. All right. Carney capitalism. This week, it was reported that Brookfield Asset Management, of which Carney is the sitting chair, is pitching Ottawa on a $50 billion asset fund that would be seeded by as much as $10 billion in federal dollars. Tell me it's not so, twos. This means that Carney is taking on a new job at the right hand of the Prime Minister at the precise moment that he oversees a company seeking to secure one of the largest contributions of federal cash in the country's history. No, folks, you cannot make this up. This is the news.
This is exactly what you would expect, by the way. Nobody's surprised by this.
September 9th, Carney was appointed as senior economic advisor to the Prime Minister and put in charge of the task force on economic growth. However, Carney will be employed by the Liberal Party of Canada rather than the public body of the Prime Minister's office. This will have the effect of insulating Carney from the usual ethical disclosures and conflict of interest rules, which all it is exposure anyways, and would follow a senior government staffer on the public payroll. So, This all in time with Trudeau announces Mark Carney is okay. I'm rereading the tweet now. If you're just listening, Carney is good friends with Telesat. I'm skipping ahead to a couple things here. I just wanted to bring this in on Carney as well.
Realize that the guy basically just got his butt worked into the seat at his new job, and he's already lining up billions of dollars of friendly deals for his company and his buddies' companies.
Yes. So Trudeau announced $2.14 billion for Montreal's Telesat to build remote area broadcast network. And that's going to this Elon Musk. We'll talk about this in a bit, but Elon Musk says he can do it for half that at least. And once again, this is Mark Carney.
We're skipping ahead.
I know I'm skipping. I'm just bringing up Carney. Can I just bring up,
Jim Jones, damn it, Sean.
Oh man, 125 is going to be fun. It's already going to be fun.
Buzz yourself already.
Minus the fact you don't want to talk about Carney and the fact that. All right.
Well, I don't know. We've got other stuff to talk about when we get to Telesat.
Okay, I'm buzzed. I'll honor the buzzer. I'll honor the buzzer. Feds working overtime to piss us off. Uniformed RCMP officers ranked among the highest of all government agencies, filing for more than 444.5 million in overtime last year. More than 11,000 sworn members of Canada's Federal Police Services pocketed 10 grand worth of overtime in 2023, while the largest payment to a single worker listed at $242,000. Civilian RCMP employees earned $19.2 million in overtime last year. The CBC paid its employees $27.2 million in overtime last year. One employee of that took home $62,000. And Franco Terrazzano was quoted saying, "We're paying for tens of thousands of extra bureaucrats, hundreds of millions of dollars in bonuses every year, ballooning costs for consultants, and now we're seeing the government forking out hundreds of millions of dollars in overtime costs." Basically, the article laid out every possible amount that was paid in overtime, folks.
And where the hell is any of this work getting done?
From home.
That's the thing. You would think
I'm working overtime right now.
With all of this overtime, there would be just, the RCMP is racking up hundreds of thousands of dollars of overtime per person in some cases. Oh, well, I'm guessing there's going to be no more crime on the streets. Oh, wait, it's way the fuck up. Revenue Canada has expanded by like 40% in the past few years, and they're racking up a ton of overtime. I bet you if I call in, I won't even be on hold. Nope, I'll be on hold for 57 days. Now, to be clear, it was 57 days to get a reply to an email. I was being a little bit hyperbolic, just in the interest of not having to issue an apology or a correction later on.
Danielle Smith annoys everyone of the week. Jennifer Johnson, this thing has gone absolutely viral. Like, I mean, you had
J.K. Rowling.
You got J.K. Rowling talking about it. Yeah. In the days leading up to the vote on May 29th, we're going back a couple of years. Premier Smith said that UCP's decision to keep Johnson at a caucus was final after first saying she could be given a second chance. Recently, however, Smith mused during a UCP town hall in Red Deer that Johnson could soon rejoin the UCP. And, she was quoted saying, "Give her a chance to speak, put her on the record, what she meant, what she really said, and how she really feels," the premier said during the town hall. Now, a whole bunch of things have unfolded. This is one here. Marco Van Hugenbos put out on Twitter. It was the Premier's office statement. Quoted, "There has been no decision to allow MLA Johnson back in the caucus. She's doing good work as an MLA in session and in estimates, but she has some work to do to rebuild trust and relationships in the LGBTQ plus community. That work is ongoing." Twos, do you want to show the video? Do you want to go back and listen to the audio? Where do you want to start?
You know what? Let's here.
Because
let's look at
sure.
Here we go. Let's just
she'll just touch on a little bit more about that.
Hi, Jennifer. I really want to thank you for meeting with us today and taking the time to try to signal that this is more of a priority for you.
Absolutely. Delighted to meet with you all.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Before I would ever say, though, that this was a productive meeting and be counted to the list of contacts that you've reached out to in the queer community, I have to know a few things of where you sit. Will you state on the record right now that trans women are women?
I've never been asked that before.
Will you say that on the record right now?
No, I want to have some time to think on that.
Okay, well, that's me. Have a great day. And I will be speaking out against this meeting because you are clearly not ready to have this. So I'm not going to be added to the list of meetings that you are going to have with people where you say, well, I met this person and this person, because no, 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 no. You can't say I've had these consultations and use that as justification for you to work your way back into caucus, which is why we know you're really here. This only happened.
So, anyways, this goes on for a little bit, but that's the gist of it.
Yes.
The whole rest of the video is this dude with long hair berating her for not immediately embracing her flawed, because let's be honest, it's a very flawed worldview. And just spends the whole time bullying her.
Listen.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, here's the thing. Okay,
No,
right
no,
off
no,
the bat,
no.
right off the bat. Okay, so the whole idea of her reaching out to these people is that she can gain more understanding and that she can learn more about this whole group and everything else like that, right?
Where it starts to is she made comments about
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
LGBT, where it starts, because I wanted to understand this. So I went and dug up the original audio so I could listen to whatever audio all these articles are saying she equates trans people to feces. And I'm like, what the heck is it? What did she say? And I don't know. Do you want to play the audio or do we just want to talk to it?
For you before you went, and so you did. You made them, and before they came down to go to this movie, you said, "Help yourselves, guys. I hope who made these tonight. I hope this didn't happen here." As they were about to eat it, you said to them, "Enjoy. I only put a teaspoon of poop in them, but it doesn't matter because it's only a teaspoon in the whole batch."
So you pick which one is good.
Yeah. And they obviously put the cookies. This is not a true story. So the idea is we can be top 3%, but that little bit of poop is what wrecks it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And it is when we've got furries in the classroom. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
These kids who are identifying as cats, and the teacher puts a litter box in the classroom for them. And girls saying, "I'm not a boy anymore," when they're 7 years old, and transitioning at 14 years old and getting mustache.
So, okay. It starts there, and this is the original audio recording. So it's a strange. When I listened to it, I was like, "That's a strange analogy, poop and cookies." But what she's pointing to, right, analogy or not, it was a poor. To me, I'm like, okay, it's a poor analogy. But what she's talking about is furries in the classroom, young kids transitioning, on and on and on, which is in fact where a whole bunch of us sit. Okay, so then you fast forward to the video that went absolutely viral, where a guy or a trans woman is trying to say the only way this conversation continues is if you say trans woman is a woman.
Everything I believe in.
Correct.
Regardless of science, biology, or anything like that, it's a very bullying tactic.
Well, and I don't care. It's a trans woman isn't a woman. So like, just get over it. Life moves on. And then from there, though, then it's okay. The trans woman, if you listen to her, hits it bang on. The only reason you're doing this is so that you can get back in caucus. And this is where it comes out that, like the UCP government is doing things similar to what is happening to Jordan Peterson. And the comparison, when you start to look at it, well, I mean, the shoe fits. And that's what it kind of looks like, Tooz. Am I wrong?
That's absolutely what it looks like. The idea being, oh, you know what? I met with these people and I talked with these people and we had some good conversations and everything's fine now. Kumbaya. That seems to be the exact idea being presented here. And so, and then that's what that tranny had to say right before he, stood up to take a piss, was that you're doing this so that you can get back in, and I'm not going to count towards the quota that you're using towards this. It's funny,
but
though.
In fairness to that person, they were bang on with exactly what's going on. You're like, that is actually factually correct. Yeah. But I don't have to agree with you on this call. That's not what I think, and that's okay. And the whole thing about the conservative movement is supposedly we're this big tent where you can have differing ideas. But what this is showing, and what a lot of people are saying, is that's not exactly true on a couple of key issues. And this is one of those hot button issues where you should just zip your lip and move on. Right? Okay. That's what it looks like to me.
Yes. Here's a couple thoughts on that, though. It's like, first off, Did we learn nothing from the lockdowns? Did we learn nothing from saying, okay, yeah, there might be a lot of really loud people saying some really crazy things, but if we just stay the course, we're going to be right in the long run. This is the exact same thing, whether they want to admit it or not. Because eventually people are going to say, yeah, you know what? It was kind of a crazy time. We cut off a lot of people's dicks and we sterilized a lot of people. Ooh, no hard feelings though, right?
Well,
we're going to have the exact same conversations.
Well, the thing is
instead of myocarditis, it's mastectomies.
I'm about to hit the buzzer, but I just want to say that once again, nobody cares what you do when you're an adult, but people do care. A lot of us, when it comes to the classroom and when it comes to kids and when it comes to the things being held from the parents. And so I go back. I go back to where she's talking. It's a poor analogy, but it gets completely, then it gets pushed to this, you go read the mainstream articles and you're like, you're comparing trans to feces. Like, where's this coming from? Oh, okay. I see what they're doing. And then you go, but it's just, like we're going to get to Kaylin Ford here at some point. And it's just, this is what we got to get past. She could just come out and say, this is what I meant. And I don't agree that trans women are women. And you can hate me for that, but that's my thoughts. And a whole bunch of people would probably be like, this woman's right. I mean, they voted her in her constituency. Some people believe that. A lot of us do.
The only people who should care about this thing are her constituents. Because if her constituents say, actually, yeah, we completely disagree with all this stuff and everything she says is bad and we don't want her there anymore, well, that should be listened to, okay? But some central governing body based in Edmonton should not have the decision on who represents people in Lacombe. Now, the other thing is how much more goddamn time are the UCP going, how much time, effort, resources, goodwill are the UCP going to spend trying to cater to people who will never vote for them?
Who will never vote for them.
Right. Real quick.
Point.
So Sandy says Pride Lacombe, Pride Pinoca, and Central Alberta Pride reached out to Johnson to take this meeting. It wasn't Smith. It's sure, absolutely. What we're saying is that this absolutely reeks of it being a backroom deal where the deal is you get this amount of people and you can say this amount of stuff. And at this designated time, we're going to push forward and let you in. We're not saying it was Smith who said this. We're saying that this sounds like a directive from on high.
Well, and I would like to point out, to me, when I look at the situation, yeah, okay, so she's going out and she's talking to this different people. Now it's in the public view, right? You have this video where when you go and watch it, you go like, whether you agree or disagree with what Johnson's saying, like
I don't
at the end of the day,
yeah,
I'm gonna assume 99% of conservatives go, I don't think she just said I'd like time to think about it. We can agree to disagree, and on and on and on. It's a pretty, and so all you could have taken this situation and went, we're just going to allow her back in the UCP. We think her time of being thrown in front of the bus for saying some things, and she's tried being, and instead it's like, well, we're going to hold her out for a bit longer because it's a little bit of a mess and it's a pretty hot situation right now. Well, at some point, you're just going to have to find a way to pony up to the table and get in front of some of these things and start being a leader. That's my personal take on it. I could be absolutely wrong here, but just look at it. It's just blowing up. This is like a giant thing right now.
If you're trying to be everything to everyone, you're going to be nothing to anyone.
Yeah. And Twos makes a very good point. You're never getting these votes ever. No, they don't want to vote for you. So,
maybe we could put some of that effort into the Alberta pension plan. Okay. And then Diana says, why is it always trans women or women and not trans men or men? Right. Once again, it's males trying to take women's rights away. Well, I mean, it's almost all that way for sure. And the few places where women have an advantage, they just don't seem to have grasped the opportunity yet. I mean, yeah. So there's the Twitter profile of this dude who got in the confrontation with Jamie Johnson. But
Carla Mars.
I mean,
yeah.
As far as women who want to
communist drag comrade for those listening.
Yeah. For those women who want to transition to being a man, you need to seize the opportunities where you have the advantage. You know, like, okay, most sports, sure, it goes the other way, but there are sports where you have an advantage if you're competing against men. Things like curling, where a big part of the game is sweeping and yelling.
Shall we move on? Heist of the week. Ooh, I feel like we haven't had one of these in a couple weeks. The Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office has arrested 4 people in connection with an unusual theft of copper from Rio Tinto Kennecott's mining operations. The scale and value of the copper is what has stunned the deputies. The total value of the recovered items was estimated at $147,000. But earlier this month, they were contacted by the mining operation reporting that a theft of 8,600 pound mold and a button that weighs 6,000 pounds and copper plates were all stolen. That's what it.
How
that's
big
what
of a
they
pair of
came in.
pants does it need to be that the button on it weighs 86,000 pounds?
Are you?
Are
Are you happy to see
we're
me?
really
No,
we're
it's just a
catering too
copper.
far to the body positivity people at this point. Okay. By the way, I just want to point out that while you gave me a blank stare at that joke, Carrie Ann says I'm a big curler and that was funny. So thank you, Carrie Ann. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
But yeah, somebody stole a whole shit ton of giant copper molds and buttons and things like that. And then they got busted. Because I feel like they're probably pretty hard to hide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Trump assassination 2. Actually, it's almost like 3. Electric Boogaloo. I don't know, Toos. What would you like to say? They're trying to kill Trump. They've tried multiple times now. And, the 2 people had both connections to BlackRock. So there's that. What else?
Yeah.
What else would you like to say on the old Electric Boogaloo?
Well, it seems like the only thing Democrats can actually get around to killing and killing well is the economy. Babylon Bee had a great headline. Biden promises next Trump assassin will be a woman of color. Playing into the equality there. I liked it. It's just the fact. I want to point out the fact that this is now happening so frequently that it's barely even a blip in the news.
It's barely even a blip in the news.
The
and
first
the
one
yeah.
was gone in a few days, and the second one was like, oh yeah, they tried again. All right, well yeah, I guess I don't know. We'll see if they can kind of third time's a charm, right? I mean, they're 0 for 2 right now. They're basically starting the season off like the Oilers do every year.
He sneaks in like he's a Calgary Flames fan, folks. Carry on. Welcome to the gun show. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police have lost 205 firearms since 2020, including more than 120 handguns, at least 5 fully automatic weapons like machine guns we're talking. The data, which was obtained through an access to information request, also shows that nearly a dozen RCMP firearms have gone missing so far this year. In total, 122 handguns, 55 shotguns, 23 rifles, 3 submachine guns, and 2 machine guns have been reported lost by the RCMP detachments across the country since 2020. Also, I would just like to slide in there, the federal firearm buyback program has cost taxpayers nearly $67.2 million since 2020, and they haven't collected a single gun. I mean, that's kind of happy news, but, we seem to waste money in different ways, and the fact they're not collecting guns, I'm okay with that. I mean, I take the money back, but anyways, they're losing guns, too.
Yeah, and the thing about it that really bothers me, Sean, is that a private citizen, somebody who has an RPAL, if you lost a restricted or a prohibited firearm, or like one of the actual prohibited firearms from like pre-2020, one of those fuckers, you'd be in jail for so long that Anthony Olenik's kids would be like, they Robert Picton you. You'd be gone forever. Because that's how it is. And yet, when the RCMP, 205 guns in the past 4 years, that's a gun a week.
Are you insinuating there's different rules for us and them? I don't know.
Absolutely different.
No,
Like,
I don't know.
You know where the best place to hide after you commit a murder is? Behind a badge. So here, like, yeah, I saw that one on Twitter the other day, and I was like, that's dark, but I like it. But yeah, it's a set of rules for me and a set of rules for thee. And it drives me up the wall. RCMP should have more stringent laws to follow than citizens, and politicians should have more stringent laws than the RCMP. That's it.
Buffoon blunders in bid to buy by-election. Canada's chief electoral officer says it's time to review candidacy rules after a massive ballot caused delays in declaring by-election results for the second time this year. Ballots for Monday's by-election in the Montreal riding of La Salle, Emard Verdun included the names of 91 candidates. Special ballots nearly a meter in length had to be printed to accommodate all the names. The overlay large ballots caused delay in vote counting, and a final result wasn't announced until 2:45 a.m. in the morning.
All right. So first off, we had Donovan Ekstrom on here before. He actually ran in this one again. If you were to zoom in on this picture, you'd find his name on there again. So he ran again in Quebec. What
Awesome.
a beauty. What a beauty. So shout out to Donovan. Hope you're
I
doing
wonder
well.
how many votes he got. We should have found that out before this started. Oh, wow. That would have been great.
I didn't look it up. That's a good thought. And so this is actually a smaller ballot than the one they had for the Toronto mayoral election. And longest ballot Twitter account pointed out that the Toronto mayoral election didn't run into issues. So if this ballot's smaller, where's the problem? And I would say that's a fair comment to make. But I guess the big takeaways from here are that the NDP held on to an NDP stronghold in Winnipeg by their fingernails, and that the Liberals lost another seat in a by-election, this time to the Blockheads, because that particular one was in fucking Quebec. This is where David Lametti used to represent. And so now the Liberals suck so much that they're losing seats in fucking Quebec. And so, yeah, you love to see it happen. Kelsey Peterson, boo-hoo. Fair enough. I think that's about them losing. And then here we go. Next one.
By-election fallout. Quoted, I believe we're going to win everything, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau responded when asked this week whether he thought the Liberals will win Monday's by-election in Verdun. And then quoted, we've got everything going, man, Trudeau declared as he dashed out of his party's final caucus meeting Wednesday in Nanaimo, a big smile on his face.
That's the part that you got from this. Did you read this article?
I did.
Okay. His office and party officials tried to allay concerns through a series of presentations before an open mic session with the Prime Minister. They aired clips from Sylvester Stallone and Rocky Balboa and Al Pacino's famous speech in the football film Any Given Sunday. He literally went up there and showed probably the montage of Rocky with the dun 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 dun. I'm
you're getting a live look, folks, at how me and Twos both read an article and what sticks out to us. It's the movie clips for Twos, and it was me thinking like Trudeau's lost his mind.
Imagine the pure narcissism.
Yes, I agree.
Doing a slideshow, like a PowerPoint presentation about how right he is. Imagine how narcissistic you'd have to be to do a PowerPoint about how right you are.
All I'm saying is, I think we're both pointing out the same bloody thing, just in two different parts of the article. At least that's because I got the same thing, that this guy is insane. He's a complete narcissist at this point. He believes they're going to win. He walked in, showed motivational whatever to his group, and walked out. And even in it talked about how the reporters thought he was acting kind of bizarre. Like, are you watching the same thing? Oh, yeah, we're totally going to win. And it mentions in there they're going to win a riding out west. And they're like...
They didn't even come close. Didn't even come close. But like, just picture yourself in a boardroom or like a hotel, conference room with Justin Trudeau at the front pointing to clips of Rocky Balboa and saying, hey, that Apollo Creed guy looks just like me.
This year's Russia
Oh,
Gate.
wait. Sorry, I need to come back to this. I almost forgot the really important part of this article.
Never
I was
respects the buzzer.
No,
Ever.
but this is worth it. This is worth it. Okay. So the thing about it is that Justin Trudeau Unleashed is the Liberals' new weapon in their battle with Pierre Poilievre. The Liberals' plan going forward for Justin Trudeau is to take him off script and let him go absolutely speaking his mind and saying whatever comes to him without the constant harness that he's been put under, which is basically them saying, we can't get this guy to fucking quit. So let's give him enough rope to hang himself.
Should be interesting times here in the next couple of weeks.
I hope that's what happens. Okay, but that was the other important part that you missed in the article.
This year's Russia Gate. So do you I don't know where to start. Do you want me to bring up this? Do you want to start here? The Prairie Paul, or do you want to go to Cat Canada?
Okay, yeah, let's go with that. Read out that tweet.
Okay. So here, let's start here, okay? I'm voting Liberal next election because the Conservatives are now little more than a Russian asset. Russia has been the enemy of democracy and freedom for as long as it matters. And though democracy is complex, it is the best thing humans have created to live together in a society. And then it goes on to say,
okay, yeah, sure.
And then it goes on to say, and to be clear, the Conservatives are a Russian asset. And beyond that, they are nothing, a hollow shell, an empty space. They offer Canadians nothing whatsoever. They are entirely devoid of talent or ideas except those that come from the Kremlin.
I'm going to go absolute brass tacks on that and debunk it in the simplest way possible, which is probably still going to be too complex for somebody like that to understand. But here goes. Imagine that you are a dictatorial overlord on the other side of the world, and your quasi-adversarial rival is having a democratic election. Do you want somebody who, isn't really going to change much, goes whichever the way the wind blows, but will do a few things to make the country less shitty? Or do you want the guy in charge of your rival country to be the one who puts tampons in the men's bathroom of the fucking barracks? There is no fucking way that Putin wants anybody other than Justin to win this election. At all.
You want to show the video? Trudeau talking? I'm going to bring up, bring that up, and then I'm going to show Mark Gerritsen.
Advocacy on this unbelievably important issue. It's extremely alarming that Russia is pushing its propaganda in our democracy, but even more appalling that they are using far-right Canadian conservative influencers to divide Canadians. We must all stand against this. I call on all parties, including the Conservative Party of Canada, to stand up and investigate these allegations and follow up on it. Let it get through committee.
Okay, so then this comes back to Cat Canada, right? The whole thing. She's a Russian, working for the Russians, being funded by the Russians. And then here's Mark Gerritsen, the guy who said that, and he said, "I would like to sincerely apologize to Cat Canada for my previous post in which I alleged that she is funded by Russian government. Canada is a democracy, and in context of debate over political issues or current affairs, things can sometimes get more heated than they should. I should have not made this statement regarding Cat. I will be personally donating $1,000 to the Loaves and Fishes Community Food Bank in Nanaimo, BC, a charity chosen by Cat." And so that's the I guess part of the saga. That's
the fallout. So basically, they went to them and said, "What you did was commit libel, and we will sue your ass unless you issue an apology and make a donation to a charity." And then he did that, because that's the only way that tweet ever shows up, is if he oversteps something legally, and then they offered him this slightly easier way out.
Yes. And meanwhile, you have Prime Minister Trudeau going, these far-right extremist influencers, right? I mean, I'm adding words.
We care about Russian interference. We don't give a shit about Chinese interference. We've got 11 MPs who are openly, and I would be I will eat this fucking hat if Yuan Paul Wu isn't a Chinese agent. There is no way that Senator Yuan Paul Wu is not. And I'll eat my hat if he isn't. Okay? But we don't care about that. We're going to hide that. Hide that for years. Hide that during an election. But then you get this thing that, there's still a lot of fallout to figure out and everything like that. And they're jumping all over it. Here's the thing. Call me up for this, call me up for talking all this stuff out. They'll be like, yeah, we want you to come to Ottawa. I'll be like, fuck that. You guys can talk to me over Zoom. That place is a shithole. And I'll get there on Zoom. I'll be like, I don't have to be paid by Russia to know that you guys are a bunch of idiots. All I do is look at the basic economics of things and where you guys get caught in lies and where you have conflicts of interest. Now, if that's Russian disinformation, you should probably go after everybody who reports it, because we don't make our own news. We talk about what's going on in the news.
I'd like to just point out that happy for Cat. That
Yes.
Because that's a crazy thing to be put out there, and happy to hear that there's some, I don't know, good news coming out of it. I think so. Good for her.
Yeah. Patricia, sorry I'm late. Work gets in the way. In my defense, I was chatting with a coworkers about last week's show and all the shit I learned from you too. Well, that's good.
We'll take it, Patricia.
Yeah,
we'll take it.
Yeah.
Patricia.
Just set an alarm next time or something like that, right? But
be better.
Be better.
This week in cat killing, okay. The mayor of Fort Saskatchewan is advocating for people to deal with feral cats themselves. Do you just want to show a part of the clip? Do you want to show that? Like, I'm curious what Tooz is going to say to this. I'm as excited as everyone else sitting on the edge of their seat for what Tooz is about to say to this video.
Comes to feral cats, it would be cruel to say, but it would be interesting that if people could deal with them themselves, like I'm going to say in the old days when you lived on the farm. Now be careful, because when you lived on the farm, if there was cats, they threw them in a bag and threw them in the river, or they just put them on the exhaust pipes. So that's how they. It's okay. I grew up on a farm. I knew what happened back then, and.
So anyway, this is in Fort Saskatchewan. This is the mayor talking about how they have cats overrunning everything. Now, I feel like we could take some of the people from Springfield, Ohio, and possibly move them up there and the problems solve themselves. But PETA actually spoke up about this and how cruel it was, which is interesting because PETA kills a shit ton of animals. Like their whole giant facility that they have at their headquarters, almost all of it is a freezer for all of the animals that they've euthanized but haven't been able to dispose of yet. Like they just basically run a shredder because it's more humane to kill them and they don't have room to keep them, which is exactly why you kill cats.
I just want to say that, this is relatively a nothing burger, like if you sit around and talk with old farmers, and you just hear them tell some stories about having some issues and what they did to deal with it. It's like, this is nothing new to any farm kid. Like any farm kid has heard stories like this before. But it being said in city council, somebody should just nudge her and said, probably not the time or place on camera. I just probably wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
And saying that, now that it's been said, it's like, well, I mean, that's just the way. Once again, you always have the opportunity. I mean, at the end of the day, you have the opportunity to just go, listen, that's what used to happen on the farm. I'm not encouraging everybody to go out and grab all these things. And I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I got the video set. I'm like, oh, well, that's Fort Saskatchewan for you.
Yeah. And then here's another great comment coming in from Chad. You rock Tooz and Flames rock, oil suck.
Chad, stop it.
Pin that up and just leave it up for the rest of the episode. And Diana Thomas here. She just made people responsible for their own environment instead of overlording via government. That's exactly it. If you feel like there's too many stray cats, there's several really easy ways to solve this.
Good take, Diana. I appreciate that take.
Yeah.
Rats fleeing the ship of the week. Federal Transport Minister Pablo Rodriguez is set to announce he's stepping down from cabinet as the Quebec lieutenant on Thursday, but he'll remain an MP. The longtime cabinet minister also plans to announce on Thursday he's running for the leadership of the Quebec Liberal Party. Just another one, twos.
Yep.
See you
Another
later.
one in a long line. And then here's a tweet from Tristan Hopper. And I feel like if he ever started listening to this show or following me, or we could sit down and have a beer, he and I would become best friends. Do you ever have like that person from afar that you're like, if we could sit down for 5 minutes, we'd be best friends, but I can't even get you to look in my direction? That's Tristan Hopper for me. Here's a perfect example. Here's him saying rejected pitch, a daily cartoon from now until federal election that never once deviates from the rats fleeing a sheep sinking ship cliche. This month alone would have had Singh jumping off the sinking ship, Mark Carney boarding the sinking ship, and Melanie Jolie's husband getting insider contracts on the sinking ship. It's like he watches the mashup, except he doesn't watch the mashup.
We wish he did.
Yeah. Gotta get, you know what? I'm going to bug Brian about that. Pass a few. Because they used to work together at the National Post and be like, can you just pass this along to Tristan and, you know, just see if we could become friends as a result of it?
Or maybe we could have him on for a quick little segment, you know? Could have a little rat
fleeing
fleeing the ship segment on the own show. Well,
that's, I mean, we already have it.
If he's listening, he could just join us for 2 minutes a week, right? Have a little segment on the mashup. A little fun until election day. Lack of confidence in a non-confidence vote. Well, here I'll pull up. I'll just read the quote. The Bloc said they won't vote with Conservatives on a non-confidence motion solely on carbon tax, and they shouldn't. But the Conservatives should give them what they want. Anyways, this is Kirk Lugabamoff. He says it comes to no surprise to anyone the Bloc Québécois does want, holy man, an independent Quebec. We will succeed one day. Everyone that works with us here in Ottawa, they know we are independentists, that we want independence, and they know that eventually Quebec will become a country. That's the quote from the video.
Mm-hmm. I am sick and fucking tired of Quebec separatists being treated different from Alberta and Saskatchewan separatists. I say I'm a Western separatist. Ooh, we got a crazy person over here. Somebody over there says, I am how you say Quebec separatist. They're like, oh, that's an interesting take. I'd love to hear more about that, you obviously learned fellow. Fuck's sakes, it's the same idea. It's just that you're scared of pissing off the French, which is ridiculous because they haven't won a fucking war in the past 1,000 years. I mean, even right now, you've got the provincial government in Quebec wanting an election and the Bloc Québécois not wanting an election. And now you've actually got two frogs fighting against each other, and they're probably mad because they can't both surrender at the same time.
Why Twos hates the CBC? For weeks, Conservative leader Pierre. 125, folks. We're having fun on this side. I hope you're enjoying wherever you're sitting, and if you are, make sure you share it with somebody. Talk around the water cooler about what the heck is going on here, and help us get the word out. All right. For weeks, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has been accusing NDP leader Jagmeet Singh of supporting the government until February so he can become eligible for his MP pension. But experts estimate the size of Poilievre's own pension at more than 3 times of Singh's pension. So that's newsworthy. And then we had Rosemary Barton go, Bloc Québécois leader Blanchette says
Blah,
he
blah,
will
blah.
not. Yes, blah, 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 will not support conservative non-confidence motion next week. So that's one chance of an election being averted.
Okay, I'll handle that one real quick. Here's the thing. You look at the context, the subtext. Chance of an election averted. Like it's a disaster. That's the whole idea between aversion is you're trying to stay away from something. Most of Canada. What the hell, dude?
Carry on.
All right. Most of Canada, I would say, wants an election right now. And I get the fact that you don't because you're going to lose your fucking job. But your job for the moment is to try and pretend to be impartial. But you can't do that. Rosemary Barton of the CBC thinks we need to avert an election because she's going to lose her fucking job. And then this article from the CBC that you were talking about, conservatives are targeting Singh over his pension. but Poilievre's is 3 times larger. The size of the pension isn't the discussion. It's the fact that it doesn't vest for 6 years. And that's Poilievre's point, and that's exactly what the math talks about. This article, if you follow along here, page after page after page of in-depth analysis, pictures of young Pierre Poilievre when he was younger and even nerdier in his dad's suit in Parliament, gold-plated retirements. It goes on and on and on until near the very end. The difference between getting a pension and not getting one is also significant, said Newell. If Singh doesn't hit 6 years of service early next year, he's only entitled to a refund of his pension contributions with interest. That's the whole point of the article, and it's 40 paragraphs down. That's all you needed to say. But all of this obfuscation, the amount of effort they went to write shit that has absolutely no bearing on the discussion at all. Like, it'd be like us saying, I don't know, some guy's got a gun pointed to my head, and they write this 50-page article about how the gun was pink. And then at the end, it'd be like, yeah, but it was loaded. That's kind of the important part. Nobody gives a shit what, like. So anyway,
this is why nobody's reading the CBC.
Yes.
So, you know. Saskatchewan election update. A couple things here. Retooling of the province's procurement crown corporations would put Saskatchewan businesses and employees first, which isn't happening under the current government, NDP opposition leader Carla Beck says, unveiling what the NDP calls its Higher Saskatchewan plan. She said an NDP-led government would revamp the Sask Builds Crown Corporation. Beck said bidders for public projects would be selected based on value and benefit, not just an offering the lowest price. And then the other one coming is 2 former Sask Party MLAs say they intend to run under the Saskatchewan United Party banner in the upcoming fall election. According to a news release from Sask United on Monday, Greg Burkich, a 21-year MLA for the Arm River constituency, will run in the Saskatoon Southeast, and Dennis Allchurch, a 12-year MLA for Rosthern Shelbrook, will run in Meadow Lake.
That's pretty big news. Well, I mean, the Sask Party, I guarantee you, no matter what happens in this election, a year from now, Mo's retiring. No matter what. There's enough fatigue with him already as it is. I think it's really interesting that the NDP, who's not a serious party, by the way, I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before. They have a couple things in here. They say that the Sask Party needs to do more to look after entrepreneurs, which, by the way, the NDP hates entrepreneurs. That's pretty well established. But they're going to institute a $40,000 grant for new businesses, which would be great if the entire thing didn't already exist from like 5-6 years ago. They're literally saying, we're going to do this thing that already exists. This is like when Rachel Notley said she was going to build a second highway coming out of Fort McMurray. For those of you playing along at home, Fort McMurray already has 2 highways coming out of it, the 63 and the 881. This is the same thing, except with startup grants. And they're so desperate to try and win. The NDP is saying that they're going to suspend the gas tax. They're not going to charge PST in grocery stores. Do you have any idea how desperate the socialist idiots have to be before they start suspending taxes? And yes, 2 new Sask United Party people who are existing Sask Party MLAs.
I don't think they're existing. I talked to the leader of the Sask United this week on the podcast, and I believe they're both not in active government. I could be.
Okay.
They were formerly Sask Party MLAs for a huge stint, and I think it's welcomed veteran MLAs coming on to that aren't part of this current government.
All right. Michelle Krieger says, can we expect a Buffalo interview coming up, Sean? If any of them are still there, I don't know. I haven't heard anything from the Buffalo Party in forever.
Here's a good question, Michelle, and everybody else in Saskatchewan. Could I do Buffalo? I guess, but I also would then want to do Liberal, and I want to do the NDP, and you know, if that leads me to Scott Moe, I'm like, sure. Like, but let's rock and roll. I'm good with bringing on the leaders of the parties. What do you think, Michelle or twos? Me sitting down with Carla Beck?
I think you should have all of the leaders, including Carla Beck. Because here's the one thing: is I definitely have very little time and patience for the NDP. And regardless of what you may or may not think personally, Sean, you definitely do a more nuanced job of presenting your opinions, which would lend itself to a more fair conversation with a socialist idiot.
Hecklers get a singing feeling. You want to show the video? You want to show the video?
Yeah. This is, by the way, these guys are idiots. And this shows exactly why. This is from Gurdeep, Jagmeet Singh's brother. This is from the guy, actually, who, by the way, is a lobbyist for a grocery company in Ontario. And he gets to put shit like this because of how bad this Leafs fan choked, which is classic on brand for them.
Corrupted bastard.
So he says corrupted bastard.
Want to say something? What? Want to say something? You say nothing? What does it mean? That? You got something to say?
I didn't say corrupted bastard, but I
Is
said...
that what you said?
No, I did not say
Who
that.
said it? Who said it?
Somebody behind me said that.
Was it me? Was it you? No. You sure? If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Was it you or not? If it was me, I'd admit it. What'd you say then? I didn't say nothing. It wasn't me. It was a gentleman behind me, I guess. Who is it then? Point it out. I have no idea who it was, buddy. My word. You sure it's not you? No. 100%. You're a coward. You're not going to say it to my face. That's what's up. Say what? If I said something like that to you, I'd admit it. All right.
Now, it's interesting. Go back if you want to and listen to it right off the bat where he says what. It's the exact same voice from the exact same place. It's definitely him that said it. And when you look at his body language when he's being confronted by Singh, he's totally being shady as hell. He's definitely the guy who said it. And what a chicken shit move to do. You finally get your chance to tell somebody like Jagmeet Singh, who is a corrupt bastard, to his face that he's a corrupt bastard, and you choke. That's fucking pathetic.
I'll say this. I agree with you. I think if you're gonna say it, stand behind it. But two, if that Singh right there showed up in office every day, he might have my vote because I'm like, he's gonna tough talk a guy in the back. Okay,
I mean, the guy's a Leafs fan, so it's not exactly an accomplishment.
Oh, Singh, you're tough now. Oh, that's great. Oh, I hear he's a wrestler and a whole bunch of other things. That's great, folks. That's great. It's great. And all the NDPs singing, oh, yeah, he's so great. Propped up the worst government in history that twos ties to Pierre Elliott. I get it. I get the whole slideshow. But that's what I get out of that video. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. Well, the guy should have, yeah, all right. Stand behind your...
Yeah. And even if for some reason it wasn't him, the right answer would have been, well, I didn't say it. Somebody behind me did. But actually, Jagmeet Singh, now that you mention it, you are a corrupt bastard. Your move, asshole.
What? Yeah.
The Leafs fan wears his hat like Sean does. And Leanne says the truth hurts Singh. And you know what? That's exactly right. And that's probably a big part of why he flipped out as much as he did, is because it was on target. It was absolutely on target.
The mashup effect. Last Friday, the Prime Minister's office announced that the federal government is extending a $2.14 billion loan to Telesat Lightspeed so it can expand internet and 5G networks in communities across Canada with affordable, high-speed broadband connectivity. Additionally, Telesat will help the federal government bolster its satellite communication technology and support North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that's NATO, and North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, modernization to keep Canadians safe. Conservative MP Michael Barrett critiqued the plan by asking Elon Musk what it would cost for Starlink to provide rural broadband throughout the country. Musk replied that the cost would be less than half of the $2.14 billion price tag. Heck, that wouldn't make any sense to the government. We don't want to save money after all. Last year, Ottawa and the Ontario government handed over $250 million to Rogers Communication to expand its rural fiber optic network in the province. And had Starlink been commissioned instead and connected about 66,000 homes to satellite grid, it would have only cost $50 million. So that's less than a quarter of the price.
So there's two things in this world that I enjoy: a nice scotch and being fucking right. we talked about this. We've talked about this several times. In fact, the latest
We
time
have.
we talked about
We
this
have.
was
We
just a
have.
couple weeks ago, where the NDP in BC and the UCP in Alberta were fronting this same idea. And we're talking
I
about how
literally had
stupid
to
it is.
tell one of the brothers. Tuz was right. Tuz literally just said this like 2 weeks ago before any of this got brought up. It's like just talk to Elon. Elon, come do it. Save a bunch of money. Everybody's got great. Boom, boom, boom. No, nope, not allowed. So
now,
credit where
granted-
credit's due, Tuz. Credit where
Mhm.
credit's due.
Yeah. Now, I just want to point out that the left loves to just twist the arguments, because they went from saying, oh, yeah, I'm not mischaracterizing anything. You and the rest of the conservatives are saying quite clearly that you prefer to hand over control of infrastructure critical to defense to a foreign company over a Canadian one because you guys are so red-pilled. Your priorities are all out of whack. All right. Now, first off, I think that Elon Musk in the Ukraine conflict and in Brazil and a few other places has demonstrated the fact that he doesn't really have national commitments to any of it. He'll give anybody the internet access, but that he's also very clearly said he does not do military comms. So they would still need somebody else to do the military comms. But as far as the rural internet goes, it's absolutely right. But the point is, it's a moot point, and it's something that he's very clearly talked about before. But there's this knee jerk, everything the conservatives say is wrong, and we need to protect our companies, our local companies. Does anybody else remember when there was that vaccine company in Alberta that got forced to move down to Texas because the Liberals wouldn't give them any vaccine funding for their sacred and amazing, not to be questioned vaccine? That thing was so goddamn important that you sent it out to extranational companies and you gave Moderna billions of dollars to build a facility in fucking Quebec where none existed before. If you're going to do it for your vaccines, but you're not going to do it for rural internet, you're just handpicking which argument you like based on whether it's your guy or not. Not to mention Terrazano talking about all the car company bailouts.
Newsom's new rules. Show the video, Tuz, if you like.
Yeah, I just got to get a tiny bit further along because I got yelling. MRA. Oh, yes. So this is the Babylon Bee.
Tuz got preoccupied with his rant. It was a good rant. It was a good rant.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just, I don't get to be right very often, so I take advantage of it.
California. This is a message for the people of America, given in my authentically recorded non-AI voice. Thanks to my leadership over the last several years.
So there's
California
pictures
has
of
become a
homeless
world leader in
encampments.
extremist left-wing governance. My policies were so effective that almost 1 million people are now fleeing the state every year. We even ran out of U-Hauls. During
We
the
covered
COVID
that on the
pandemic,
mashup.
I locked everyone in their homes and shut down businesses for months. Not the French Laundry, though. That's my favorite restaurant. Last year, I cleaned up the dangerous, messy streets of San Francisco, because Chinese Communist President Xi was coming, and I really wanted to impress him. He's my boss, after all. This year, I signed legislation that allows me to take custody of your kid if you refuse to give him artificial hormones and chop off his genitals.
Anyways, this goes on for a whole nother minute, and it's very obviously done as AI. And so then Gavin Newsom passed a law saying that doing deep fakes like this with AI are illegal for elections. And then Elon Musk retweeted the shit out of it and said, "Your move, asshole," which is exactly the right thing to say. And so now Gavin Newsom can't rule out legal action against Elon Musk and a conservative memer for posting mean memes about him because it hurts democracy.
You can't make it up.
If I ever become a billionaire, I want to give as few fucks as Elon Musk gives. That's the one thing I really appreciate about him, is that everyone thinks, oh yeah, if I become rich, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. I'm going to ride a giraffe through town and have a big crazy top hat and, I don't know, whatever your thing is, but it's going to be weird and interesting. And I'm not going to give a fuck what people think. But almost every single billionaire acts as though they give a lot of fucks when push comes to shove, except for Elon Musk, who's just, is it funny or is it dumb? I'm going to talk about it.
The goofy news, folks. Okay, here's a couple
There's a
headlines.
lot here
for you.
this week.
Man discovers he's been paying the wrong utility bill for 18 years. Ouch. San Francisco police officers in chicken costumes. I better pull this one up so you can get a visual of it. Here. There you go. There's the guy walking across the street in a chicken costume. San Francisco police officers in chicken costume attempt to catch law-breaking motorists. They had
What
two.
a bunch of rooster slurpers, Sean.
Yeah. They basically set up him walking across, and if the motorist didn't stop, they pulled him over immediately and fined him close to $400. San Francisco officer gets $175,000 settlement after being punished for not honoring NYPD friends and family courtesy cards during traffic stops.
Apparently they have these cards that you get. You just get a whole bunch of these cards when you become a police officer, and you give them out to your friends and family or sell them on eBay, as the article goes on to say.
Yes.
And what it is if you get pulled over for doing something illegal, you just hand them the card and they say, okay, we're giving you a warning, be on your way.
Yes.
And he said, no, I don't care if you have this card. You fucked up and broke the law. You're getting punished accordingly. And it's absolutely wrecked his career.
Yeah, wild.
His guns,
Yes.
And he got a $175,000 settlement. One other one I want to point out here. Delta reminds wannabe flight attendants to wear underwear during interviews. Now, just think this through. No, it is hilarious.
No, I know. Think it through. It's like, so this has happened.
The thing about it is
and
that
has it happened multiple times? Oh.
Well, it's happened enough times that they have to issue a statement. Okay. The economy is so bad that when people go in for interviews to be stewardesses, the HR guy in charge of deciding whether they get the job or not can confidently state whether or not they're wearing underwear. Now, there's only one way that happens, and it's when they say, I really, really want the job. Okay? That's how bad the economy is that you're going into multi-billion-dollar companies and literally waving your fun stuff around, trying to convince the guy in HR to give you the job, which is poorly thought out because most people in HR are gay.
What?
Have you never met anybody in HR?
I guess
the fact that they didn't just roll with this and not say anything, I think speaks for itself, Sean.
Sure it is. Sure.
Right? Like what? They're gonna be like, oh,
Two's wild take of the week is that HR people are gay because they didn't roll with no underwear.
I'm saying that the no underwear thing affirms my prior decision.
Yes, I know exactly. I'm not spinning out.
I'm saying it affirms
Hot take of the week. Two's thinks HR people are gay. All right. We got it. Two's.
Not that there's anything wrong with being an HR person.
Green technology, a deal. The Department of Energy announced in March that Cleveland Cliffs was selected for a receipt of $500 million to help the company produce green, low-carbon steel. However, CEO Lorenzo Goncalves told Politico and his company may have to forego the funding because buyers are seemingly not interested in paying more to buy the company's green steel, and because Cleveland Cliffs still has to front more than $1 billion to convert one of its coal-powered facilities to hydrogen power. So you're saying it doesn't make any business sense?
I'm saying even with a
subsidies.
$500 million, just if you do this, we'll give you $500 million. They say it still doesn't make business sense. That's how bad this green steel is, and we're not talking Reardon metal here either.
I know. Yes.
All right. Okay, there you go. Okay, we got to go back. We missed a couple goofy newses because we got sidetracked with Sean. He got all excited when he heard about gay HR people. So
this is what I deal with on a weekly. Welcome to the mashup. If you're just here and you're like, what are these two morons doing? Welcome to the show. This is what we do every week, 10 a.m. Two's tries new ways to find me speechless, and it happens weekly.
Hundreds of Hezbollah terrorists injured by exploding pagers in Lebanon. I don't know if you've been on the internet at all. You've heard about this and how the next day it was all walkie-talkies. And so basically, in a very short time, all of the terrorists went from communicating with pagers to using smoke signals. And then the other
You know,
one is
we were talking about that though.
yeah.
How did they get all the pagers to blow up? Like, do they have, like, the scary thought is watching a couple videos on that. Do they have the ability to explode your battery or something like that, or is it something more targeted to Hezbollah? Right? Like, the conspiracy theorist in me goes, that's something, right?
Well,
Pagers
it seems
exploding
like
everywhere.
I think it was season 2 of The Wire where they kind of got that guy to hang out with his girlfriend, a whole bunch of extras, so that he was in a big rush and he bought all the burner phones from the same place that they had the bugs pre-implanted in them. And I'm wondering if maybe there was stuff put in the pagers ahead of time, and then they went to Hezbollah pagers or us and bought all the pagers, not thinking anything was suspicious. But I mean, if you can make just the battery in a pager blow somebody's nuts off, imagine what you can do with an EV. Okay. And then the other one is, God damn it. The other one is
how much time you want on Goofy News?
Passion of the Christ 2 will reportedly start filming in early 2025. This is a bad idea. Okay. Learn your lesson. Game of Thrones did this. As soon as they got past where the books were written, the show went to shit.
Canada expands its temporary foreign poachers program. Poachers caught on video fishing with nets in Bowmanville Creek are being charged with federal and provincial offenses, according to the member of parliament from Durham riding. If you haven't seen the videos of these folks catching fish in the creeks, you should just do yourself a favor and go watch it.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. The other interesting thing is that the stuff that stands out in the video, which is that they're very obviously not long-standing Canadians, that doesn't even make its way into the news articles.
I know.
The poachers caught on video fishing with nets in Bowmanville Creek are being charged with federal blah, blah, blah. We've been in touch with law enforcement and confirmed with them, blah, blah, blah. He thanked Bowmanville residents for contacting authorities about the incident at Bowmanville Creek. Many of our neighbors are rightly concerned. Please let us know if you become aware of any incidents like this in the future. The video of the poachers has gone viral on local social media posts, but it doesn't actually talk about the video. It doesn't actually talk about what's going on here. And now you got a bunch of people in formal East Indian clothing ripping fish out of the river. And then actually there was somebody else who had posted a similar picture that they said was kind of around Lacombe, where there was a family that was just going into the field and taking all the corn out. But they didn't actually realize it was feeder corn, so joke's going to be on them. But they lied about having permission from the farmer. And so these are our natural resources, guys. Anybody who likes to hunt and fish is going to look at this and say this is bullshit.
Yes. There. I figured, I'm like, why am I telling them to go find the video? I can just go find the video and show them. So if you're watching, you got to see it. And if you're listening, go find the video, because I mean, you could just see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala's new accent. I don't need to say
I've
much
been talking
more.
about this for a while, and now other people are starting to pick up on it. This is the mashup effect too, actually.
So she just debuted her fake Latina accent while speaking to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Play the video.
I love you back.
Yes. So
play it one more. Play it one more time. Play the entire thing one more time.
It's only 4 seconds.
I know.
I love you back.
That's great. I want to hear her talk. I want to hear her talk to some like Chinatown and be like, "Oh, you bring me great honor to be here."
If you go and look at her talk to different groups of people, you'll hear her voice change all the time.
Yep.
It's really, really interesting to watch a presidential candidate do it. It's you're like, this can't be real, except you could see it happen over and over and over again. So happy news.
We got a few articles here.
We got a few.
Don't skip past.
Okay, so we got Gold Star families present Donald Trump with knife forged from steel recovered from the Baghdadi raid with a handle from white oak from the last known tree that George Washington planted and that fell at Mount Vernon. That's the
Also,
first.
it had, I think the tang of it was made with a piece of one of the wagons that crossed the Oregon Trail, and the backing on the frame was the outfit that somebody wore in that same al-Baghdadi raid.
Baghdadi, yes.
Okay, so
It
this
was
is
very well thought out.
very well thought out, pulls all kinds of very neat and special things together. Like, you watch this video and it gives you chills, and you think, like, this is when people talk about like magic swords, I would be really surprised if this didn't give you like +1 all stats or something like that. But in all seriousness, this was absolutely moving, and just the amount of thought and effort that went into this, and then to come from a Gold Star family to anybody, regardless of who it is something very special.
I agree. The second part of our good news here, I'll pull it up. It says, in what could have been the final moments of Darren Cooper's life, a miracle unfolded. He had a massive heart attack, but this 1-year-old puppy, so there it is, pictured Bear, saved his life by jumping on his chest. The dog seemed to have been jumping so hard and long, paw prints were embedded in Darren's torso. Later, paramedics would tell Cropper that Bear must have been leaping up and down for hours, and that kept him alive. What a dog. Like, that dog deserves an award, right? Like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah, it'd be, you know how sometimes it's been a long day and the pooch comes by and he's all like, "Hey, you want to take me outside? You want to take me outside? Let's go for a run around. Let's go for a run around." Like, you have to say yes every single time forever.
Forever.
Oh, yeah. You're cooking something and he wants a treat. He's sitting there like, "Oh, you got some of that for me? You got some?" Because what do you say? Like, no, because he'd be like, "Motherfucker, I saved your life. Give me that entire bowl of cookie dough right now."
And then the last thing of good news here, I'm sure there's other things out there, but Kaylin Ford, she's been on the podcast once. She's accepted to come back on again. And the thing that just came out, or she just posted, is she's accepted an offer of $250,000 from Duncan Kinney and Progress Alberta to settle a defamation claim arising from the 29 provincial election. This is a wild story. And it just said at the bottom, I filed a $7.6 million defamation claim in August 2020 against 14 organizations and individuals, including Progress Alberta, the Toronto Star, the CBC, the NDP, the Broadbent Institute, which operates Press Progress. Counsel for Duncan Kinney and Progress Alberta offered to settle the claim against them following a 3-year discovery process. Litigation against the remaining defendants is ongoing. So she's gotten an offer of $250,000 from one of them, and they painted her as like, you know, white supremacist, wild story.
They edited private conversations to make it look like something it absolutely was not. And then during the 2019 UCP election, 2019 Alberta election, she was running as a UCP candidate. I think it was in 2019. They released this during the campaign, and the blowback was so bad that she was forced to drop out of the race. And then, it turns out it was all fucking made up.
Yes. And if you recall, she went on Danielle Smith's show, and that got Danielle toast as well, right? Like, this story was giant, and
it was so bad that just talking about it got Danielle Smith in trouble.
That's right. So she's agreed to come back on the show. So I'm looking forward to catching up with Kaylin. If you've never heard her talk, she is one sharp tack. Like, she is
smart as hell.
Yeah, absolutely. We would have been great. It would have been awesome to have had her in the Alberta government, to be honest, and to see her get a win. That's great news. Happy news. Twos community notes coming up here. We got a new one. This is Marty up north. He put out. This is Dave Bradley. Bitcoin Rodeo presents Sovereign Minds Conference at Mount Royal University, Calgary, Alberta, November 16th. You can get early bird tickets for. Did you see this? $69.
Nice.
Up to September 20th. So that's today. So you can get an early bird ticket up to today. And Marty up north says, I'll be part of the panel entitled The Future of Personal Sovereignty in Canada, held in Calgary on November 16th at Mount Royal University. Corey Morgan is going to be the panel moderator there. So lots going on.
Both of them.
That's right. That's right. So that's one. Here, I'll just slide down. Community notes we already brought up. We got Sask election coverage that doesn't suck. So that's on Monday, October 28th. Before that, on Saturday, October 19th, we have BC election coverage. Tuesday, November 5th, we've got U.S. election coverage. And then in between there, on the 1st, 2nd, like we said at the start of the show, we now
The
have
UCP
confirmed.
AGM.
That's right. And we're going to have a hospitality room in Red Deer. So make sure you send us a note. Let us know that you're going to be there. We'd love to see any of you fine listeners.
Any and all of you. So
yes,
there's still some early bird for the UCP AGM goes on until the end of the month. And if you saw anything this week that you feel like you would like to make your opinion known about to the UCP, anything at all, this is how you do it.
I agree.
It's a 2-for-1 deal, guys.
Leanne Taylor
2-for-1
says
deal.
event Big Mers Day of Destruction, October 5th. Man, what the heck is that? That sounds fascinating. Yeah. Okay. You have I don't know. Is that everything? I
think that's everything. Fair enough. If we missed something, I apologize.
If we missed something, I apologize. Yes. I feel like there's been a few more. And the big thing with this, folks, is if you got community events that you want us to talk about, put them in the comments or text us, email us, let us know. And I think the big one for the mashup is we're going to be at the UCP AGM, both me and Toots. We got a hospitality room for Friday night. That is November 1st. We look forward to meeting a whole bunch of you or just catching up, right? Like there's a whole bunch of you we've ran into over the course of a couple of years. And we look forward to having a room open and letting you guys come, hit us with some of your thoughts or just, hang out and we'll see. But we're working on a couple things and we'll trickle that out as things go on. Twos, any other final thoughts here on Mashup 125?
That's it, man.
Folks, we'll catch up to you next week. I promise next week on 126. Sean may have an interesting or wild story, but we'll talk about that next week. How's that? We'll have an interesting backdrop, I think. Twos.
All right.
Until then, we'll catch up to you next week.
We'll see ya.